Faith Walkers, how are you doing? How are you doing? As you can see, it's morning. I'm on my way to work. This is where I get a little time in. But how are you doing this morning? It's a beautiful, well, it may not be morning where you are, but how are you doing today? I just wanted to hop on and talk to you about a couple things that I felt like the Lord was leading me to talk about. So, I was watching a video and just kind of looking at some things, and this man was talking about divorce. And the thing that I have never shared on a platform is why I got divorced. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because sometimes your story that seems private to you or whatever, sometimes it can help other people. As you can see, this sun is beaming in Texas today. Okay, I love it. Anyway, so as far as why I got divorced, I have been divorced this year almost 6 years. It was actually 6 years ago at this time that I definitely was in the middle of a divorce, and my divorce, of course, was final in May of 2018. But what I want to talk about right now again is why the divorce, right? So I got married, and I was very, very, very in love. Okay, I was very in love with this man, and I got married. And there were some red flags. I will say that there were some red flags. I was so in love that I just was like, I love him. We're getting married, right? I love him. He loves me. We're getting married. Anyway, so I got married. And the thing about the person that I was married to was that when I got married, he didn't have employment. Okay, he wasn't employed at the time. He was in between jobs, and so I helped him, wrote his resume, all of that, helped him get a job. Now I'm gonna tell you, this is uncomfortable for me to talk about, but I'm going to talk to you about it because it might help somebody. So, didn't have a job. I had been on my job, and so I helped him. I wrote his resume. So a few months after we got married, he got a job. But the thing was, he couldn't hold a job. He would not stay on a job. He might quit a job. He might walk off a job or whatever, or get fired or what have you. And so that was a problem throughout the marriage. So, and sometimes what would happen is, let's go a little deeper. What would happen is, if he wasn't working, he may lie and tell me that he was working. So he'll get dressed up. One time we only had one car. So he was like, oh, I go in the afternoon. So he would take me to work in the morning and then come back home, and he was supposed to be going to work in the afternoon. And so then I would get off work. I may get a ride home or what have you. I didn't live far from my job. Get a ride home, go home, cook, so that he would have something to eat. So I would go home, cook, make sure he had something to eat when he got off work, and then, that would be our days. Unbeknownst to me, he was lying for months about getting up and going to work. And so I'm like, well, where's the money? Oh, that something has gotten messed up with my paycheck, blah, blah, blah. And so he would lie, and he would just get up, get dressed, and then, leave and what have you. So then he started acting like he was mad about not getting paid. So then he would disappear and go to where he was from. Okay, he would go to where he was from, and that was like a thing. Like I didn't know that he was gone. So I would call and I'd be like, hey, I am on my way home. I'm gonna stop at the store. What do you need for me to get while I'm there? Because that was just a thing. I knew that when I got home, I wasn't gonna, leave the house again. So he would be like, sometimes he'd be like, okay, this is what I want you to get. But on the particular days where he would disappear, he would be like, oh, I'm already in wherever he was from. And I was like, huh, really? But then he would get down there and I wouldn't see him for we would be talking, but I wouldn't see him for a whole month, or 2 or 3. He would just stay gone. And I would try to get him to come home and be like, hey, come home. What's going on with your job? Blah, blah, blah. Basically, he wasn't working. He was lying. Anyway, so he was gone, and, I couldn't get him to come home. I remember one particular day where he had left, and I was crying to my sister. I remember crying to my sister. And I was crying. I was like, he will not come home to me. He won't come home to me. And I just remember feeling so rejected, And I don't think that I was thinking about it like that, oh, I'm being rejected. But that is what it was. It was I felt so rejected and unloved, right? And unwanted. And so and that happened over 7 years, over 7.5 years. That happened more and more and more. Out of the 7.5 years, I'm going to say he may have worked in that 7 years conglomerately, probably about maybe 3 years that he worked. And so I definitely had some scars right after I got out of that, but it was just lie after lie after lie. And sometimes it would be I remember 6 years into the marriage, I found out that he lied. He lied about his education. He lied about this. He lied about that. And so I felt like our relationship is built on a lie. Our whole relationship was built on a lie. Oh my God, you lied about who you were so that you could get me. Even spiritually, he lied about his relationship. Now, I told y'all, and I'm going to tell you again, that I did have a dream before I got married. And the dream was that, in the dream, I was he was talking to me. He was like, baby, he was looking really sad, and he was looking down. He was like, baby, there's just some things I haven't told you yet. I haven't told you. And I was like, that was it. And then I remember I told him the dream, and I said, baby, what haven't you told me? because I had a dream that blah, 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 blah. What haven't you told me? He was like, oh, nothing. Well, basically, it was everything. He had lied about everything. And so he hadn't, and that's what the Holy Ghost was trying to show me. And in hindsight, I would have sought the Lord about it. Okay? But I was just like so in love. Here's the thing. This man was never like mean to me. He never treated me like mean in that way. He was like somebody that was like more very nicely lie to me. He would nicely lie and nicely do things to get up under my skin. It was a very manipulative, con artist, all of that. That is what this person was. It lied about everything. Lie because it's Monday. Okay? I'm just gonna lie because it's Monday. I'm gonna lie because, now, of course, those types of things probably go deeper, right, than just lying. But definitely a liar about, and I would sit up sometimes and watch him lie to other people. And I would be like, oh my God. And as a wife, I'm like kind of trying to cover, and I'm just so not a liar. I'm so not that person. And so anyway, push came to shove. This is the straw that broke the camel's back was this. He was gone, and he was like, I'm going to start a business, and I'm going home. I'm going to start a business, all of this stuff, whatever. So he left in January of 2017. And so I would be talking to him all the time. Talking to him. I'm funding his dream. Okay? And so he's like, I'm talking to him all the time, whatever. I met up with them like once from January to November. We had met up once, and only because I was urging him, hey, let's meet up. Meanwhile, I'm going through a lot of stuff at work. It was really, really a lot. Okay? A lot of stuff at work, a lot of hard stuff. It was really, really hard. I remember just being very stressed. And I remember within that time span, I was like, there was something that happened at work, and I'm basically trying to hold on to him and then hold on to my job and trying to balance things. But it was really difficult. It was so difficult. Okay? So, okay, I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, so it's really, really difficult. So what ended up happening was that there was one particular day at work, I lost it. I absolutely lost it. I was like, the pressure and the pressure of him being away, and then what was happening at work like collided that day. And I remember I like had a breakdown. When I tell you I had a breakdown, and I'm not like a huge crier and somebody who is huge with showing my emotions in front of people. If I am stressed, it's more internal and more private, right? So, and so my manager, I had been working with her for years. I had known her for years. And I remember she was talking to me about problems and stuff with the job and work performance and all of that. She's talking to me about that, and I break down and I am crying. Now, in this office, I'm in her office. In this office, there was a huge window. The whole door was clear. And I lost it. I completely lost it. I just started crying and crying and crying. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it anymore. I just started crying and crying. And I was like, I'm dealing with this here and I'm dealing with him and this. And I remember her asking me like, what's going on? What is going on? And I couldn't say that, right? I couldn't say it. I couldn't express it, but I lost it. And I remember she turned off the light in the office so that when people looked into the office, they couldn't see me losing it. Well, and thank you for that. Thank you so much. You know who you are. Anyway, because if you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate that. She covered me because I was absolutely losing it. And I remember as far as that is concerned, I went on ahead and I left for the day. She was like, you need to like find your center and this and that, because she knew that that was not my norm. And she gave me the day off, and she was like, if you can't come back to work the rest of the week, just take some days off and find your center. And she was like, get yourself together, girl. Get yourself together, all of that. And I was like, okay. So I remember going home that day because I was so stressed. And I got on the phone with my then husband and I started crying. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. I was like, and I begged him, please come home. Please come home. Please, I need you here with me. Please come home. And I just remember he got really quiet and he didn't come. Right. And in times of stress and turmoil, people will show you who they are, and they will show you how much they love you and how much they care for you by how they're there for you. And he didn't come. I remember I just cried and cried and cried. And at that time, because I was so stressed, I kept getting sick. I kept getting colds. I kept getting sick over and over and over and over. And just laying up in my apartment by myself. And I remember just I went to the movies by myself. I'm just here. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And so, as far as like what I was like going through, he wasn't there for me. He never came home. That was probably I don't even remember what month it was of him being gone. But then in November, he decided to come home. We went to a friend of mine's house for Thanksgiving. We had a wonderful time with this other couple. Oh my God, it was a beautiful, beautiful Thanksgiving. And so during that time, I was going to this church. He didn't go to church much. Okay. And he wasn't going to church anyway because he was somewhere else. So he ended up getting on the phone with my pastor at the time. And when he got on the phone with my pastor, he basically got on the phone and was like, yeah, the money from the business is coming in. I'm going to make it happen, this and that. And we basically had a counseling session with my pastor over the phone. And I was like, listen, my my guy here, he, his method of handling problems is to lie. If he gets backed into a corner, he lies to get out. That was his problem solving strategy for everything. Let's lie. I don't care who it hurts. I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna lie. If I think that the truth is gonna make you mad, let me just lie. All of that. So that was his problem solving strategy. So he would lie. And so he was talking to the pastor and, oh yeah, I'm going to make the money come in, whatever. I think we were leaving, to go to where he was from to handle business, for I don't know, in the next day or two or the next 7 days. And so he was like, he told the pastor all the things. Okay. So then we were getting ready to leave to go down to handle business. He tries to play me. And he was like, oh, I had this dream that we were driving down there and we got into a really bad accident. And I was like, well, let's just pray, because we got to go. So let's just pray. I've already taken a day off, whatever. And he was like, I don't think we should go. Well, he was trying to keep me from going. So he made up a lie and tried to play me, right, on my experiences, is my dreams. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how God deals with me. And so he tried to play me. And I just kind of was like, hey, let me not say what I said, but I said something real slick to him. And we ended up getting into a little fight. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And I'm saying a fight like an argument, but we were whispering. I was whispering because I didn't want the neighbors to hear. And so I'm whispering very harshly. And he's like, I'm going to just leave. And this is the thing. Over the years, he would be like, I'm going to leave, divorce me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, we don't talk about divorce. That's not an option for us. This is me. That's not an option for us, blah, blah, blah. And it ends up that he's talking about divorce. I talk him off the cliff. I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's go and handle this business. We go. Okay, we make a stop, see some of his cousins. And I'm saying, like, the cousins live 5 hours away. His home was 7 hours away. And so we were taking a road trip. So we took this road trip. We get down into the city where he's from. He was like, okay, when we go into the office, this is what I need for you to do. And so he starts talking to me about taking out a loan and this and that for the money that he said we were about to get paid. I'm like, what do you mean? Why are we taking out a loan when this is what we're getting paid? You've been telling me this whole time that we're getting paid because of your business dealings. This is what we're getting paid. When we get down, we are down there 7 hours away from home. And he has lied for almost a whole year to me, basically a year to me, about what he was doing. He had got money from me to pay off stuff, He was like, oh, I need to pay this off. He had gotten money from me, not even worried about how I'm living here in Texas. He's just like, oh, I need, this, that, and the other. We, and we're working it out. I'm supporting him, right? Trying to be a supportive wife. Y'all, the whole year was a lie. It was a whole lie. You just left me for no reason and just lying to me every day. I'm talking to you every day. You lying every day, lying. And I'm like, really? I'm trying to believe him. My family is asking me, okay, so what's going on with da 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 da? I'm trying to believe him and trying to, support him. And the whole time he was lying, we get into that city and he tells me that. I was like, and I remember looking at him because and I didn't say this, but when we were on our way, I had a cold. And so I was sick. And he was like, and I looked at him, I was like, you lied again? And he was like, yeah. And all of a sudden, me and my church girl self, the F-bombs that came out of my mouth, and I'm not a cursing person. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a cursing person. But the F-bombs that flowed out of me on that day, I was surprised. I was like, where did that come from? It was like I wasn't even thinking about what I was saying. I cursed him out like I had never cursed. I never curse anybody out. I cursed him out. And I said, okay. I said, and at the end of my cursing out, I drove him to where he needed to be driven. And I said, this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm just letting you know, this doesn't work for me anymore. And I remember he went dark for me. He went dark for me. And I just remember every bit of anything I had for him and support and all of that just drained out of me that day. I drove him to where, because he was driving, and then I drove him to the office. I sat in the car, and then I drove him to his family home. He got all of his stuff out of the car. Of course, it was unplanned, so yeah. Anyway, got all of his stuff out of the car. I remember I got out the car and I hugged my then brother-in-law because I knew that was the last time I was going to see him. And I cried and I drove off and found my way back to Dallas. And so in one day, it was 14 hours of driving. But at that time, I had made up my mind that I was done. Because it was years and years of that same cycle. Same cycle. Same cycle. And so, in a nutshell, that is why I got divorced. And that's what I have to say. But I probably will be coming with a part 2. All right. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right. God bless you.